Hello, everyone. Welcome to the All About Holly live show, where we are going to be discussing the very last book in the Holly series, just called Holly. So let's just go around and have people say what their initial reactions to and sort of ranking of the book is. And Gareth, since you're closest to the top, let's start with Gareth.
I absolutely loved it. I think it's the best out of the 6 that we've read. I think he was absolutely in his stride. Clearly, he loves his character, and I think you can see it in the text. But I think by the time you've got to this point, the reader loves the character as well. And I just thought it was just incredible. Loved it. I couldn't put it. It was like annoying putting it down. I had to go to work or something, and I was like, I kept reading a page just to keep going. I just loved it.
Okay. And
right,
yeah.
Cliff, what about you?
Yeah, I concur. Absolutely, my favorite book of the whole bunch. 5-star. It's got into my top 20 Stephen King books.
Really?
And I absolutely loved it. I was absolutely horrifying, terrifying, and just everything I was hoping. It's absolutely brilliant. I especially love the ending. Now that's Stephen King.
Okay, well, we'll talk about the ending.
No, I'm just saying as a whole. I'm saying I just especially enjoyed the ending. I'm not going to talk about it. I just said I loved the book.
It was a good ending.
It's a fantastic book.
All right, well, Nim, why don't you say what your main reactions are to it?
Oh, I really liked it. For me, I think tied with Mr. Mercedes. But yeah, saying it, I really enjoyed it says a lot because I absolutely hate books typically that revisit COVID. I do not like revisiting that time period, but I love Holly. I love her character. I thought that it was wonderfully thrilling. I loved the background characters. Just enjoying that little bit of slice of life moments with Barb and watching her character growth. I really enjoyed that. And my little soft spot for poetry. That was great for me.
Yeah.
That's definitely an area we need to talk about along the way.
Yeah.
So that was my initial thoughts about it. How about Alan?
Alan?
Oh, I thought it was all right. No, I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. I liked Finders Keepers a lot as well. The one about the writers and the manuscripts and all that. That was Finders Keepers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one too, but I like this one a lot. I'm interested about now that I listened to the audio and I read the book as well, and I don't know if about the ending again. I won't, we'll get to it when we get to that, but I have some things to say as well. I bet Greg has a lot to say about the ending, but
okay, Alan, are you done?
yes.
Okay. I really liked it too. I'm sort of dithering whether Mr. Mercedes or Holly is the best. It's sort of going back and forth. So I think he was writing on all cylinders in this book, and he hit the perfect tone for the book. Even the whole COVID epidemic, even though that's a whole subject that I want to get into about the reaction some people have been having to this book in the COVID, which I find absolutely hilarious.
One guy.
There's more. There. I found a few other videos of people were bitching and complaining.
Uh-huh.
But I also love the villains in this book, and and it's good. Well, we do talk about spoiler. But my thing is, usually Stephen King's villains get to be overly powerful.
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily in these Holly books, but is on his previous books. It's like
Yeah.
you have all these special powers, and I
Uh,
just like the fact that it's just two old cannibals.
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah, like the old days.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Two
Well,
old cannibals.
But that
And
might be why we'll do the ending at the end. But it might be why the ending is so effective, because it's like an equal playing field, if you like, and you don't know what's going to happen. You know,
Right.
and that's partly because they are vulnerable, aren't they?
Mhm.
But equal playing field, I don't know about that.
I don't know. I mean,
The ending was a trip.
okay. Well, Alan, well, do you want to wait for the ending to get some of
Yeah,
the build up?
Yeah.
Excited.
All right, let's talk about just how much Stephen King must really love this character. I mean, the story that I would always hear is like he wrote the first book. She was just going to be a throwaway character, and oh yeah, I'll put her in. She'd be interesting, and then something took over. He just says, you know,
I get it because I love her.
Yeah, no, she's a great character.
She has like a special place in my heart as one of his characters.
Yeah, and I reckon it got bigger the more he wrote. So I think maybe like by the time he got to the end of the trilogy, he was like, I really like this character, but it was kind of like growing on him all the time, you know?
Yeah.
Because he kept increasing what she did. He kept saying more about her, and he kept adding to her character as well, and like her personality. So I feel like it was like a more gradual for him. So it wasn't like straight after Mr. Mercedes, like, oh, I love this character. I think it was like, because he kept using her, by the time you get to the end of the trilogy, he's like, I love this character.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I just like the way that you see character growth. I mean, because Holly had a long way to come from the beginning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Exactly.
you see someone with, what do you say?
And it's not just a
Emotional-
young person either. It's like a 40-ish
She's in her
year old.
40s
I
and,
think she's younger.
So that's like very interesting.
She's late 40s, I think.
It's
She
not
was
just
such-
like I'm gonna make a 20-year-old that's struggling into their 30s. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I love how like just the words she says, like poopy and fracking.
Right. Yeah, she can.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like she did swear in this book at one point. I'm going,
Yeah.
is that a bad word?
Yeah. Yeah, that
I'm
side
just
of it.
gonna
Like,
say fucking.
Yeah. Let's not slip.
Yeah, I think the whole poopy thing, I think that's one thing that turns a lot of people off about her character. But I think
Oh,
you
really?
agree, we all find it kind of endearing. I found it, it's just, she's eccentric, different. And
it
she's
reminds
sweet.
me of the character in Misery. What's her name?
Annie
And
Wilkes?
Wilkes.
Yeah, Annie
Wilkes.
Wilkes. So Annie Wilkes has got that kind of language as well, hasn't
Right.
Yeah.
No, hers was what, Dirty Bird or something every time. you saw
Dirty
it.
Bird.
Jeez.
But the funny thing is, there are some people in this world who really get bunged about swear words. My
Yeah,
mother-in-law
yeah.
was
I'm
like
not
that.
one of them, obviously.
My mother-in-law was like that. She just did not like swear words, and it's like,
Oh no, I can't swear in the house either. My parents hate it.
Ah,
My parents were like that when I was younger, but we've just been through so much stuff. Like we're just all potty mouth now. Something happened.
it's funny because this came up in a conversation, a family dinner, when me and my wife have got a different attitude to it, because my kids won't swear in front of my wife, and like
Oh.
they're 28 and 22, so I think they're well old enough to swear whenever they want, but they won't do it in front of my wife. So yeah. funny, isn't it?
I can't even imagine. The F-bomb drops out of my mouth like 20 times a day. And worse, but I don't really want to talk about it on a live stream, so.
But
I
she,
did. I don't know if you guys want to get into it yet, but I did think. I remember while I was listening to it, and it was dealing with COVID. I was like, wouldn't Holly be the type of person that would be a germaphobe, anyways? And then I was listening to the Afterword by Stephen King, and he actually said Holly would be a germaphobe, and I was like, yep.
Yeah, well, she was a bit, you know. I don't think he didn't talk about it a lot in the books before, just because it wasn't a real topic back then.
No.
Yeah. And then
Um,
COVID happened, and it was a real thing.
It was.
Yeah. But she talks about whether or not to have the mask on or not, doesn't she? And like, there's loads of times there's conversations where someone says, "You don't need to have your mask on at the minute," you know, and it'll be like some reason why it's not relevant, and that always comes in as soon as you meet someone. She's got a mask on, and there'll be a discussion about, or sometimes someone said, "You don't need the mask on," you know.
But she's
Yeah.
very quick. It's very quick. She doesn't
I
judge.
will never understand how that became political, but
I don't either.
No,
Stephen King's way.
Before we get into that, and that's a subject I really want to get to. We have
Fisker's trying to break in here for a second.
we have a special treat for this show.
Jesse's not to get in.
We have a special treat. Hello.
oh my God, Ben! What? This was a surprise.
Yep.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing? I have one question for you guys. You guys are all invited to have a special meal, and I am making liver. You guys are all invited to
fava
have
beans?
liver.
With fava beans?
Yep, and some dessert. How are you guys been?
Hey, good to
We
have
missed
you. Good to have you back.
I'm so excited to be here, you guys. I'm so proud of each one of you guys. It's been so fun watching all the live streams, and I'm so proud of Greg.
Yeah, it's
You've
really
done
cool
well.
to do a six-book project. You know, when it's been fun.
This has been a fun project that some of you know about. This is that there's another project coming along where we're going to be reading 70s horror novels.
Oh, I like that.
Nim, if you want to join that group, I'll add you to the group. It's going to be a very similar group to this one.
Okay.
Now we do have, is it 6 or 7? I think it's 7 books. I was going to try to limit it to 6, but we all got so excited.
I already took one. Salem's. Oh, can I say it?
Sure.
I already took one, right, Greg? Salem's Lot from Stephen King.
Yep. You're Salem's Lot, Stephen King.
Okay, I read that already.
Well, it's going to be a group where not everyone participates in every month.
My least favorite Stephen King book.
Is that your least favorite? Wow.
I hate Salem's Lot.
Really?
Salem's Lot is my third favorite.
Well, you
That's
see,
my top two.
I finally watched the movie though. I like the movie. It just, I don't
Books
know.
are always good.
all right. So we'll
Anyway.
bring it up, but let's get back to Holly. So Pat, what is your general impression of Holly in the series and as a book?
To me, right? It's
Yep.
really good to hear you guys. My impression. Say that again.
No, just give your impression of Holly. I mean, how did you like the book?
I enjoyed it. Well, I was listening to you guys earlier. I have my little. We'll talk about it at the end of the book. I kind of didn't like it, but overall, I really enjoyed the Holly book. I really did.
Okay.
I did like the character. I didn't mind the COVID. I didn't mind the pandemic. I didn't mind any of that. I thought it overall was a really, really great story. I enjoyed it. It's my favorite.
Cool.
How
All
many
right.
of you read Bad?
All of them.
You
I
read
just
all of them?
Keep it a secret because I'm on Goodreads and I didn't want to put that all on my Goodreads. I barely put all Holly up in Goodreads. So it was just a little bit of my secret.
You just been behind our
I've
back.
been sneaky backstage.
You sneaky girl.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
But
I mean,
enjoyed all of the books.
so we discussed a little bit about the character arc of Holly, and then how she. I mean, it's kind of odd. Like in this book, she starts off and she basically becomes independently wealthy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
That was crazy, yeah.
and she's deciding, do I want to continue with this business? But apparently, I mean, as you're saying, it's like she really enjoys this investigative process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got those little bits where she imagines, like she makes little jokes about,
What
millionaire
millionaire
goes to
Millionaire
the,
walks into a bar.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those bits were good.
Yeah. I think it's just really down to earth.
So
I
that's
thought that was pretty amazing that she inherited all that money, and she really did deserve all that money.
Yeah.
it does, and it you know, I was really getting sort of torqued was her mother character, who basically hid the fact that she was wealthy from her.
Her mom
Yeah.
was awful.
Oh,
But it gave Holly more ammunition to talk about her mum like that as well. So it was like an interesting kind of, rather than just her being abusive or whatever. That was an extra little kind of just being deceiving about the money is a new thing, you know. So I thought that was good. That was clever, you know, a bit different.
because her mother never believed in her that she could be successful on her own.
Independent.
I think it's even more than that. She was just a narcissist. Like, she really wanted to make Holly believe that Holly couldn't live without her, but in reality, her mother couldn't live without Holly.
Yeah.
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 That's a
Very
good point.
narcissistic personality. Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause
and obviously Holly really thrived once she was separate from her mum as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bad? Did you want to say
Amazing that
something?
She was grieving through all of this too.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
That she was grieving through the whole process of this whole murder plot, the whole story. She took
She
it.
was.
She was
Yeah.
Grieving too.
She took it
Yeah.
as as she can. You know, she just lost her mother, and then the whole pandemic. That's a lot to take on for herself. But yet she still came above.
Well,
Yeah.
she was still grieving Bill Hodges, right? You know, six books in,
Yeah.
she's still talking about
She
that
was
as
still
well.
grieving Bill too.
Yeah.
And
Well, he
grieving
was the mentor.
very
I mean,
different for everyone. Yeah.
he's the one who recognized that you can be something other than the disturbed woman in your mother's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what did he die of? Was it pancreatic?
Pancreatic cancer, I believe.
Okay, I'm glad it wasn't liver cancer. Or
Sometimes.
Oh, you know
Yeah.
something, Alan? If Stephen King ever has to go back and revise it, he should just revise it to liver cancer. But
Yeah, nice little tie-in. Yeah,
Yeah.
tie-in, nice little knot.
all right, so let's talk a little bit about the villains in this book.
Oh.
Oh, I love them.
It was inspired. It's absolutely, that's very rare to get an elderly couple as really, really vicious, nasty, and very dangerous villains. One of the things I was going to say as we chat is the way they did it was their victims had no chance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it was really clever the way it was just like, that's it, you're caught, you know.
Yeah, we spoke about that. We spoke about that the other night. Yeah, the way that they actually fought their victims, no chance at all.
None.
It's
And
not
it's perfect because if you saw an elderly couple struggling in a wheelchair
Yeah.
Yeah, who
Most
wouldn't
people would come up
help
and
him
say,
with
"I'll
him?
help you go in."
Yeah.
Then there
Yeah.
were also professors too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was more so the woman. What was the woman?
I forgot her
um,
name,
Yeah.
but she was the
Okay, yeah.
really vicious one.
She,
And
oh,
Yeah.
she was messed up.
I mean,
Like
and
the
really,
husband was more on like the scientific side, but she was like the vicious mastermind.
I mean, the husband. I kind of think that he was beginning his mental decline.
The Alzheimer's,
All
yeah.
time, even early on, that
Yeah.
he didn't have the ability to say, "Wife, you're batshit crazy."
That's how I felt
And
too.
she's
So
the
he
one
was
that
also
Yeah.
go on.
she's
Greg.
the one that pushed him. He
Yeah.
had these weird theories that were just, weird academic theories, but to say, let's see if this is true.
Brain.
But what in the end, what the reason why their downfall is because of his ego. That's in the end. That's what ends up breaking them completely. It's his ego. So even though she was the one pushing him, he was like obsessed with his scientific knowledge and theories. And when Holly starts poking it, that was brilliant. When she started thinking, I know what will change the situation, and he started going really getting really angry. And he was like,
Yeah.
I see what she's doing. This is awesome. And that tension was fantastic. And that was because she was prodding his ego.
Mhm.
Brilliant.
Did it remind you?
Pardon me, Bad, you said something?
Did it remind you guys of the movie and the book, The Black Booth? The Black Phone.
The
Black
But
what?
just old people. It kind of reminded me of The Black Phone. I
Oh,
don't know
Black
if you hear the book, but it's similar with the van kidnapping, killing everyone.
Yeah, that's a good movie. I liked that
It
one.
reminded me,
I
yeah,
haven't
it
seen
reminded me
it.
of that, but just old people that gone crazy.
Well, what I liked also is that they were older. I mean, usually when you have villains in a book, it's usually someone young or healthy. And
Mhm.
maybe it's just the fact that Stephen King is himself getting older. I mean, he's late
Oh, yeah.
70s now, early 80s, maybe.
Yeah.
That he
Yeah, he talks in interviews about his aches and pains and all that.
right.
But it's
Oh,
more
I
than
don't
one
know his age.
older
Does anyone
character
know
as
his
well.
age?
There was more than one older character in the book. And if you think about the two elderly criminals, psycho killers, and then you got the mentor, the poet. There's a completely different kind of older character.
Oh
And
yeah.
And the bowling team. So it's actually different perspectives of getting older.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, she was a very positive character, wasn't she? The poet.
I
Yeah,
think that
and
her
she-
name was Olivia.
Olivia, yes.
Yeah.
and it's about growing older with not with pride, but with
Dignity.
what's the right word? Dignity. Yeah. Whereas the two cannibals were terrified of growing old. That's why they were doing what they were doing.
Different
Yeah,
mindsets,
that's a really good point.
Definitely.
And you,
Yeah,
and
that
you
could be kind of a message in a way, couldn't it? You could argue that's like a message in the book.
Yeah, and there's other older people as well. I mean, the bowling
Accepting
team.
nature and going against nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, because I like you said, I now that you think about it, and I never really compared Olivia to the other two, that it's sort of like a map of how you can age, where the two are sort of resisting it and saying, no, we're not going to age. We'll find some way around it. And Olivia saying, okay, I'm getting older. And the best thing I can do is mentor this young girl who will take over the mantle of poetry, or presumably could take over her roles.
Yeah, and as readers, because again, Barbara's been in so many books, you're really like willing her to do well in the poetry competition, and then when she wins, you're like, yeah, you love it because it means something to you. Yeah, that's cool.
I loved that because she was like a little girl in Mr. Mercedes, and then she's going on to her next like adult stage of life. I thought that was so cute.
Yeah.
There's my little soft spot again.
What about Jerome? Jerome.
When she was in their home, that was terrifying. I'm sorry. When they gave the
Yeah, it was. You knew what was going on, and she didn't.
Yeah, and the whole time you know what these people are, and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh
Really.
God,
And
when
that's
she gave her the
loads
old tea, that was disgusting.
there was
I was
loads
like,
of
what a
moments in the
bitch.
book where the characters didn't know what something, and you did. That was played so well.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Indeed.
I was going to say, I love the fact there was towards this really awesome climax. There was, I love the fact that when Holly started getting confident about the situation and she realised that the guy was losing it, and she started shouting at him about how it was all a placebo and his scientific method was a load of bollocks. And it was so cool the way that she was like, "No, hold on a minute, I'm going to go for this," and like really, really getting him angry because it was like, your theories are just nonsense. And it was just like, I love that, the fact that she was like making him riled up, because it was like, it's just a placebo, you're just believing it's real. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
And that's
As you said, it's feeling
what
very
I
Peter.
really kind of appreciate at the end is I was kind of worried that they had some sort of magical power that was sort of helping them keep young.
So you
But
were glad.
I really like the fact that it's just placebo.
Yeah.
They're just cannibals. they're just psychotic.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of thinking it was like true, or maybe it was helping them, but then I'm like, no, it was no way this eating cannibalism could possibly help with arthritis and stuff. It's like, is it extra protein, or is there like extra vitamins in there that we don't know about? But
No,
If there was any truth in it, there'd be a farm somewhere doing it.
Yes, the placebo effect is real. The placebo effect really can help you. If you
Yeah.
It's been proven the fact that, I mean, it can't really cure you or anything like that, but it can make you feel better.
Right, but those little tiny poppers that he had, those little tiny protein poppers he kept in his pocket, I would might have tried one of those.
Yeah, I love the little fatty snacks that they would take out of their pocket. The little fatty snacks.
Now I don't feel very well.
Rub on the back of the leg and
what was it? The parfaits they were always chewing on.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that was gross.
And the brains.
Like
And the
brains and ice cream.
Parfaits in the refrigerator already.
It's always written in a matter of fact way, wasn't it? So they're just doing it. It wasn't like written in a grisly kind of morbid way.
That's another thing is he could have gone really extreme, like I'm saying, like in Jack Ketchum's Off Season, where you're describing gnawing on the bones, but here they are. It's just parfait. Nothing to worry about.
Yummy, yummy banana brain split.
Do you guys eat giblets or fried giblets? I do. I eat fried kidneys and fried liver. Not
Yes,
I absolutely hate liver.
I love that fried.
I hate the smell of liver. I just can't stand it. So I don't eat liver.
I don't eat.
But I'm getting
It's
hungry
good. I mean, you guys
right
dunk it in
now,
some
but-
white gravy. Delicious.
Well, if you ever eat at Bad's house, you better go. Are there any missing people in Austin?
The interesting thing about the snacks and the food and everything, the way when they were eating, isn't there like jumps back in time? So basically, this girl is in the cage, and then the other chap they're talking about eating her. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to look on my audio because I was like, "Is this?" I had to look at the dates because I was like, "Wait, what's going on?" Yeah, I had to look.
Yeah. I thought that was brilliant the way you have the two timelines going.
Yeah, and that made it more terrifying because she's in the cage, right?
Yeah.
And then next minute you're actually reading about them rubbing some of her fat on the back of the leg for the sciatica. It was freaking terrifying.
Yeah.
And then
Actually, on that note,
room, the worst thing for me, the second room, because they're keeping her alive.
Yeah.
And that second room where they're actually keeping her alive. So my imagination is going, they're going to take their sweet time. with all the little
Yeah.
marks over her body. Because
Yeah.
if she's alive, then the meat's going to be fresh.
That's what I thought at first.
I thought there was going to be a scene where she's like a trunkless body and not trunkless, a limbless body, you know. But
Oh,
I can't remember her name, but she was such a cool character, wasn't she? That first victim, well, second victim technically. That woman, the one that was like being really leery to him. She was a fantastic character, I thought.
Yeah, she was.
yes,
What was her name?
Refused to eat the liver, that one.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I really liked
Yeah.
her.
So
She
good.
was badass. She really
Yeah.
stuck it to him.
And even
Was
though
it
she got
Penny?
shot,
Was it
she
Penny?
got the easy thing, eh? Because she was so brave.
That would be so hard. I
Yeah, it
can't
would be pretty
imagine
hard,
dying that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
anyone feel like depressed though? Like with the victims? Like it was a downer. I felt
Yes.
really bad. Like I got down every time there was a victim. Like the parents, what they had to go through.
Yeah.
That would be so sad.
Well, especially getting a horror book,
Imagine
innit?
like
Horror books are
never
often done.
hearing or an open investigation for years and never had an idea of what happened to your kid.
Oof,
I can't
no, that'd
imagine
be
that. So it
horrible.
was like a downer for me a little bit. I was like,
I feel messed
borderline
up. I'm
crying.
laughing so much now.
I wouldn't have expected to read a horror book and not get a downer. I don't know if that's you know,
So there you go.
it's about cannibals and people being murdered. So that's a downer anyway, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, it was the way they were murdered. I imagine that in that second freaking room, when they are manacled down on that table with the cut pieces drawn on them,
Yeah,
and then remember when she says, "Oh, you're going to rape me?" No, child, we're going to eat you.
yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was messed up.
Oh, that was
Yeah. Well,
There was
did you buy cannibalism
laughing, though.
books on Amazon? No, seriously,
What
you
was that,
buy
Bab?
cannibalism books on Amazon.
Look up cannibalism books on Amazon.
They sell it.
oh,
no. Wait a second. You mean actual like books on cannibal or like stories about cannibalism?
No,
Cannibal-
actual cookbooks on cannibalism. How to cook for if you are into cannibalism, like they do have the actual cookbooks.
That's so gross.
That
Yeah, look
reminds
at
me.
it. I'm serious.
That
It's
reminds
crazy.
me. If you go to off season and you go on Goodreads and you look at the reviews on off season,
Ew.
there is a 4-star review right at the beginning. You must read it. It's hysterical. It's all about cannibal cookbooks
Secrets of Voodoo.
and cannibal societies and everything. It's hilarious. So look at Goodreads on off season, the book Jack Ketchum.
You're right.
There's a 4-star review there that is absolutely hysterical. It's about how cannibalism is an alternative life choice. It's just a life choice. And you need to
Can I bounce off what
If
Cliff
you're
was saying about
okay
the
with
way?
killing people to do it, okay?
gee.
And the guy's saying, oh, when he was a university student, he used to participate every now and then, not anymore. And he's still friends with some of them, but he makes sure he's armed.
Oh, make sure you're armed, like so you can.
That'd be a hell of a story, though. To give me an idea, Cliff.
Is there any part of the world that allows cannibalism?
What?
Is there
Like
Any part of the
third
world.
world countries, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Maybe, there used to be some places in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Maybe I don't know.
I mean, no.
You know, I always assumed that was like a stereotype that was built over like colonialism and stuff, that just to make them look like savages. But I don't know.
Right.
No, they did exist at some time in history. They did exist.
Well,
Yeah.
also there's always the stories of shipwrecks where you have some sailors and
Mm-hmm.
The Donner Party.
Not a
yeah,
body. Yeah.
There's the guys that were in that like in the snow and they couldn't get anywhere and had to be. There was a film a lot about it. Wasn't
You were
there?
saying the Donner Party.
No, that's a
Oh, is that what it
Uruguay
was?
rugby team. The plane crash with the rugby team. Do you remember
The
that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Alive. Yeah.
I wanted to say, yeah, because Cliff was saying about the different timelines, how that worked in the book and how it worked so well. There was a couple of moments where just a sentence was so powerful in the way you read it, and there was one in particular that I thought would be worth bringing up. And at this point, you don't know that Bonnie is the person that's been interacting with them, and then they say, "What's your name?" And then she says, "Bonnie Dahl." And then you, as a reader, go, "Oh my God, it's her!" And that she's in the wrong place and all that, you know. And all you've heard about Bonnie Dahl at that point is Holly investigating where she's been, and then and when they say, "What's your name?" and she tells the couple her name, it's so cool.
Yeah,
Because
I
you know,
she was just doing the Christmas stuff for them, right?
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I kind of knew it was her from the beginning. It just sort of
Okay.
it just fit the
I didn't.
storyline.
Well, I mean that worked for me. That bit really worked. The same as when he said the thing about eating his brains, and it was just one sentence at the end of a chapter. That was like really cool as well. So it's like the rhythm of it, the timing of it is really cool.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think the timing was exactly what I was trying to say earlier on, that they were eating her brains, and then I think then you went back to the cell.
Yep. Is Cliff a little frozen?
Yeah, no, it's happening over and over again now. I don't know what's on the internet. Is it everyone or
I
is
know
it just
what you're
me?
saying, the way he follows the scenes with like building up on your impression of what's happening. It's very clever.
No. And I love the way that the poet girl, what's her name again? Sister Barbara.
Barbara.
It's almost like she's constantly seen that she's under threat the whole time.
Yeah.
It's constant danger because she's kind of exploring and finds out about this more before Holly even does. And there's just this constant threat.
Yeah. You assume that you're afraid. You think that something's going to happen to her. You think, "Oh, we're going to lose Barbara." And it's interesting the way that works.
Well,
I was going to say as well, all the victims are quite different as well. Is that guy Peter as well, isn't there? And he's really well developed as well, the Peter character. And there's just he spends, you know, a really good amount of time talking about all of the victims, and I think it's really interesting.
Well, that's really one of Stephen King's really good skills. Is he can bring you into a character very quickly, and you get the feeling that they're unique people. And it's not like some books where you just bring on a victim. I'm going to like say Guyan Smith, Crabbe's books. He brings on a character in a chapter. Oh, this character is going to be eaten by the end of the chapter. Let's get to it. But here he's like, you get a feeling for these people. And you're like, no.
Yeah.
It's like when you talk about Barbara or Holly, I knew one of them was going to get caught somewhere.
I thought it was going to be Barbara.
You thought it was going to be Barbara. I wasn't sure which one it was going to be.
I think I mean you said you knew some things already, but I think this takes you by surprise sometimes.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
So was that Al?
Oh, I was surprised.
Yeah. That the things like the way that the investigation happens as well, like because I felt like this about The Outsider as well, that I liked the way that each development in the investigation, how much she was clarifying what was happening and piecing things together. It all seemed to make sense. It was like, okay, now that's indicated to that, and it wasn't like she didn't make any massive leaps of logic. They were like, well, why would you think that? I thought that was really good. The fact that there was little bit that kind of worked.
It's like you're reading a good police procedural, saying you're working through the clues, and it doesn't make sense until you put it all the pieces together, and then of course that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And while she's doing that, these people are dying. On the other timeline.
Well, but of course, ultimately, only the Republicans are the bad people.
we should talk about a little bit about. I mean, I found it so humorous when I sent out that link. This one guy
that was funny.
He hated this book because everyone was, vaccinating themselves and wearing the masks and worrying about it. And I'm
Yeah, that's
going,
weird, isn't it?
well, the thing is, there are people out there who still believe COVID was a hoax.
Oh, I know. I live amongst some of them.
I never
Well,
got
you know that I nearly died, so it annoys me that people think that. It was very serious for me. I was in hospital with two drips and a ventilator, and every night while I was in hospital, I thought I was going to die. And
Horrible.
if I hadn't had the first injection, they said I would have been in a coma.
you
So-
mean like the booster, yeah. I mean the
It was
vaccine.
real. I mean, why
Yeah.
wouldn't? I mean, it's just weird. It's that whole thing about now facts aren't facts. That
I
people
know.
don't believe science. If you stop believing science, then we're doomed.
We are.
And I had a family friend who died. Yeah. He was an anti-vaxxer, though. He didn't get vaccinated. He
Yeah.
was,
It's just saying,
So a lot of people died before.
but that
They
still
could
didn't
get the
compel the
vaccines now.
person who I live with to get vaccinated. They were still like, no, I'm
Well,
healthier.
people are thinking of like microchips in the vaccine. It's just, what are you on about? Grow up.
And then they say like I've done my own research. Like what
I
you mean?
don't
you
want
went online
politics.
and
I just
you've read
want
online
scientific
articles. You don't have
facts.
a test tube and a microscope or anything. I've done my own research.
But but it makes it curious. Now, I'm not a huge confession. I'm on the left side of the political spectrum. I'm sure people can figure that out pretty darn quickly. So I did not really mind Stephen King getting a little bit on the soapbox and talking about it. Although I don't encounter it as often as when authors get on the right side of the soapbox and start preaching. I can't think of any examples off the
Can I make a comment?
Comments?
If you think about the book Holly, most of this, the COVID thing, everything, you see it from Holly's perspective, right? She's got her mask on. She makes sure that she's got her gloves on. Everything else. Every time she sees somebody behaving and denying and everything, does she judge ever in the book?
When
No,
she
it doesn't
judges,
No.
but she
This
doesn't
might just
say
be Stephen
anything.
King's. No, she doesn't
She's
say
polite.
anything. She's polite, yes. So this might just be a Stephen King trying to say, "Oh, Holly, she doesn't judge anyone."
He said that afterwards.
Obvious, but you're seeing it through Holly's eyes, through this character's eyes, all the
Yeah,
time.
but I think you can say that there's
I did the audio, so I don't know actual page numbers, but I feel like he stopped talking about politics like 50 pages in.
it doesn't take up much of the book. I mean, I was going to say there's like 400 odd pages here, and for someone to read all of this and just go on about that is ridiculous because there's far more to the book than that. But I do think that what Cliff said, but what I do think there's an author's voice where he is trying to make out how ridiculous it is that people were like that, and he does make some anti-Trump stuff in there. There's definitely some politics in there, and it's definitely deliberate, and I love it because I think America's gone mental. So I love the fact that it is there. It's shocking for someone in Britain to watch some of the things that have happened over there in the last sort of 10 years. It's terrifying. Storming the Capitol. What's the matter with you lot?
Well, Gareth, I got to poke fun of the Brits a little bit. You did have Brexit. Okay?
I know, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And if you
But it's still not the same.
you could say that Brexit led the charge and said
You don't even have to talk about
No, what was happening in America was happening before Brexit. But there is a problem, though. There is a problem with this sort of nationalisation, this kind of this morbid patriotism that is making Trump really popular. It makes the Brexit thing happen. It makes once you start declaring war on somebody, then people start voting for you because they're going, I hate foreigners. And
Growing
so
education.
there is a real problem with that kind of idea, definitely. And that's what he talks. It's not really what he talks about, but that's kind of
It's not what the book. I
implied
mean,
occasionally.
it's there, but
Yeah.
Very
No, no.
briefly, the politics are there, and then it's just COVID. And I hate people that made a disease a political thing. Like,
Yeah, it was a disease. It was a
what's
pandemic.
that?
For God's sake.
Is
It wasn't
cancer
political.
political? No.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Nim. It's crazy that it's somehow there's people that just don't believe it happened. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But then people believe that the Earth is flat, so we're doomed.
well, Gareth, it's really kind of funny when you talk about people who believe the Earth is flat.
Okay.
There was a stunt person who was going to climb on top of a homemade rocket to prove that the Earth was flat,
I remember this.
and he basically killed himself in his own rocket. And basically, the people afterwards said, he never really believed the Earth was flat. He was just doing that as a form to gather attention and make a living. So I
You
have
cannot
to wonder.
reason with flat earthers, though. They always have something else to say when you're like, but what about this? But what about this? Like,
I've never
Well, yeah,
met in real life
there's a great.
flat Earth.
I don't know if you know the comedian over here, David Mitchell. He's a writer as well, and he's famous for a sitcom called Peep Show. I don't know if you saw that. But anyway, he was on a chat show, and it came up this thing about flat earthers, and he said, "Well, the thing is, we know that the Earth's not flat because we've taken a photograph."
Yeah.
oh,
It's as basic as that. We've taken a photograph.
That's why he wanted to go up in his racket to take his own photograph. He was doing his own research.
And now the one thing I'm going to say is I can prove the world is not flat, because if the world were flat, all our objects would be pushed off the edge by cats.
Yeah.
I like that.
that's a good one.
That's true.
All right, we have a comment I'm going to highlight here from Leslie. William
Leslie.
Fortune, the author of 1 Second After, writes from the conservative point of view. That's good. I've heard of that book. I have not read it.
Well, it writes about the pandemic from the conservative point of view.
I'm not opposed.
Don't know if it's about the pandemic, but I think she's just saying that it's a writer who writes from a conservative point of view instead of Stephen
That's
King, who
fine.
writes from the liberal point of view. I would guess I would say.
I'm still open to reading those. I think it's pretty obvious that I'm a more on the left person, but I don't.
But though, I mean, I know it's different in America, but Stephen King, the way he writes is definitely not left. It's kind of middle center kind of rationale. Like
I
left
feel like
wing.
a middle person, but like my social views are very left.
No, Gareth.
Yeah. But he doesn't.
In the United States, our left would be your conservative party.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's kind of scary because our conservative party is definitely not left.
No. Your conservative party would be left in the United States.
Well, our conservatives are just getting more conservative, which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got an issue with the lack of choice, but I think that's kind of true for most countries that there ends up being a 2-horse race, and 2 horses are very similar.
Yeah.
But there is definitely a discourse in the country and more extremes, and there is definitely a socialist element to what you can vote for. It's just some of them aren't particularly socialist,
You're lucky that you got choices. Don't really have any choices.
I mean, that's true.
We've got the ANC and we've got ANC. And unfortunately, if you look at our country over the last 30 years, they've done nothing. The poor are just getting poorer. Just got so much corruption and everything happening. And you know what they've done? We've got another month till elections. We haven't had load shedding for the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Guess why? load shedding is going to start again after the election. So
What's going to start
thing-
again?
Load shedding. What's that?
You're saying something's going to start. I'm not quite hearing it correctly.
Yeah.
Load shedding will start again after the elections. We haven't had load shedding for the last 3 weeks. Because
What's
the
load
election-
shedding? I don't know what load shedding is, Cliff.
Where they
Load
turn-
sharing.
where they turn the lights out, where electricity, where basically we have a thing in this country where depending on what stage of load shedding you are, like stage 1 is only maybe 2 hours a day. Stage 6 to stage 8, you are off 8 to 10 hours a day. They turn you off the power. And
Is that
can
to
go on
save
for
energy?
weeks. Sorry?
Is that because you have to do that because the lack of electricity in that?
No, that's basically because our grid is collapsing. It's under severe stress because the government hasn't been doing what they're supposed to do. Same with our water supply, same with everything. And so basically what they do is before elections, to show the population, to show everyone, look everyone, we've stopped load shedding. So they do it like about 30 days before or 60 days before. And so they go around to all the poorer areas, hand out T-shirts, and tell everyone, look, you've got electricity again. Vote ANC. And then straight after the elections, everyone believes them, and then they just turn us off again. So
That's the same as any politician saying in their manifestos they're going to do this and that, and then don't do it. It's very cool.
Okay, so I have another question about the book here.
Yeah.
Do you think this book ends the Holly saga for good? Or, I mean,
I doubt it.
I think so.
you think so?
I
No.
do think so. I
Okay.
said I doubt it.
I think he'll be taking
You got-
Unless Stephen King dies, I bet she'll pop up somewhere.
Oh, someone else will take over. That's
That's
true.
it, because once she got her millions and this is her last pretty much case, and then her grieving with her mom. I think it's going to be another chapter, and then she lost her friend Bill Hodges. I think she's going to have another chapter in life, but I think that's it for her.
I don't know. I mean, it ends with her picking up the phone, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's going to take whatever case it is, and now is it going to be an important enough case that it needs another story? I don't know. That's where it's very open ended. It's like I could get her to do more, or I can just leave it here.
I just think
I
King
I don't think she's going to be a big character in any more of his books, but I think she might pop up somewhere.
Yeah. But I think it would be a really naff ending if it was utterly resolved and there was no sense of the future. Because I think a good ending does leave a little bit of a, well, this could happen or that could happen. So I just think it's a good, it's just how you end a book. So whether or not he uses it again or not is separate to it being a good ending,
Mm-hmm.
Well, if Trump does get elected for president, since Trump was a lot in this book, he might have a lot of material to complete or to continue Holly and see what happens when Trump is our president.
President King may be moving.
Stephen King
Trump
is
gets
like,
in, he might,
then
It's going to be a lot of craziness, that's for sure.
he might write a different kind of book if Trump gets in. It might be even more angry and might be.
Well, did you ever see Stephen King rag on Trump on Twitter or something?
Oh,
When he was president, he would just lay into him really hard.
Sure.
I'm afraid I missed that, but
Have you seen Robert De Niro do it? I remember early on when Trump was campaigning, Robert De Niro did a fantastic little speech. Did you see that?
Which one?
Sure, yeah, he was on The View just 2 days ago.
He called him something like, it was a really, really patronizing insult to give him. It was brilliant because obviously Trump's got a big head, and it was just, it was such a good, it was like he called him like a putz or something, some kind of word that was really nothing. You're just
Talking about Robert De Niro.
I'm trying to remember what it was I just saw, but Trump made a speech and he was like, in the words of the great late Hannibal Lecter, and people are like, what are you talking
I saw that clip too.
Did you see that?
I saw it. I just don't say, okay, that is just Do you
That is a
even know
fictional
what he's
character,
doing this
and he is
for?
not dead. And speaking of cannibalism on this Wally Live,
I hope we're not done talking about the last scene in the cage with Holly, because I thought Greg would have a would not like that.
What
Because
thing?
well, it's kind of over the top, isn't it? They're 2 against 1, and they have a gun, and she's in a cage with a little clip from an earring, and
it was a little bit far-fetched.
It
Yeah.
was, yeah. It was.
I think it's different because they were so vulnerable as villains. If it was a young, fit adult, it'd be different. But they weren't. It was almost like it was waiting to happen.
I mean, it was fun to see her slice the throat with a.
It
You
just,
know,
it's just an earring, though.
Basically, to get him mad, basically to get that guy mad, so that you come close enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's what you're talking about.
I
Like,
love that bit. That was so cool.
Luckily, she found the little shiny bit.
Mhm.
Shiny thing.
it was a
That was
little bit of a
too
setup, but
convenient.
that's okay.
Yeah, but it was
But it was
there all the way
fun.
through the book, so it wasn't like it was a Deus Ex Machina when it just suddenly appeared. It was there in the
Right.
plot, so
Goes to the machine,
it wasn't
yeah.
sudden.
Like, la.
That's how I try to imagine myself if I get kidnapped. Like, well, I'm smarter than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a creep show. Yeah.
But we read,
Too much
we
of
read
that.
a lot of horror and extreme horror to kind of maybe use those methods into our advantage if we ever get kidnapped.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
they said don't ever get in the car. I mean, once you get in the car, it's over. I mean, so you might as well take off or hit them in the larynx. Do whatever you can to get away. Just don't get in the car.
Yeah.
Well,
The
mid
lesson in the book is-
11, so our chances are slim.
Okay,
Don't
Bad,
help any old people, yeah?
hold on. Bad said something that I just couldn't quite hear.
That me and Nim are petite. We're 4 feet 11 inches. It would easily be taken away in a van.
Well, that's why you keep your car keys between you.
I carry a
That's a-
knife.
There's a big stick. Call it,
I don't trust pepper
9
spray
millimeter.
because I'm scared I'll spray myself.
we've got when we go walking, we've got pepper spray,
Yeah.
and we've got that zapper thing. What is it called?
No pepper spray because I'm
No,
scared I'll
no.
spray myself.
Zapper thing called?
A taser.
What's that? A
Taser.
taser. Yeah. So we own a taser. We own pepper spray.
Wow. I had a taser that looked like a cattle prod. It was
Are you
really
ever
impressive
scared
at
of that
nighttime.
bad?
Well, the
Well-
man and the woman both carried tasers.
I would be scared that I would be tasing myself by accident.
No.
We don't really do
That's
any.
what I'm scared of with pepper spray. Like,
We don't really
you
carry
have
them
to,
anymore.
undo it and stuff. I'm like gonna be like,
When we were living in
I
Johannesburg,
ended up- so.
when we were living in Johannesburg, we used to carry it all the time because people got attacked walking their dogs, walking the streets.
Yeah.
Okay. So what else do we have to say about Holly? Or are we coming to the end of what we have to say?
I do want to say one thing. Did you guys think Holly was like a superhero Marvel taking down 2 old people?
No.
No.
You don't think that was a little bit like extreme into the
It was
No, I think he made a lot of effort to make her realistic and make her just an ordinary person.
I mean there was
like it was mentioned, the earring was a little bit far fetched.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it was pretty good.
It's good.
Now, the one thing also is once you get rather elderly, your skin becomes really fragile. I mean, when I was living with my
I
mother-in-law,
genuinely think the earring thing would only be far-fetched if it was a different kind of villain. I think that they were vulnerable right from the beginning.
right?
It was like they were not going to stay to the end of the book, whatever happened. So I think the earring thing was just a device that she used to get rid of one of the vulnerable people that are attacking her. Yeah, I think it's. I thought it was realistic.
Well, not really, but you can
Believable.
accept it within the realm of
believable.
possible.
Yeah, believable. Yeah.
It could have happened. It could happen.
I think the way it's written, I think it's believable, and definitely there's definitely not a sense of some sort of Marvel superhero. All the rest of it, even if you don't like that bit, she's definitely very ordinary through the whole thing,
Right.
and like all the 6 books, she's very ordinary,
Oh yeah.
which is why we like her, isn't it? That's why we like her.
supernatural in it either.
Yeah, and
Nothing
you're
no
like,
way-
at the end when she's locked in the cell, and she has no way out, and she's thinking,
Yeah.
I swear, I think you think about is that she was going to reach across the bars for the dead old man and start eating him. I really thought that was going to happen because, like you said, that's what happens when you're in these situations where you have no other food. You start eating what you got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, that's what they kept thinking. They were trying to goad those other prisoners into eating the food as well, weren't they? Because they thought they're going to give up at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nope. Bad. What? You seem like you have a comment.
Did you guys already answer or ask this question? So, do you think this could be a standalone or not?
I don't. I mean, I think you really need to read the other books to fully appreciate what he's done with the character.
I
Especially
mean,
with
I think technically it could be a standalone, but it would be a lot worse. Like, I definitely wouldn't appreciate it as much as a
No.
standalone.
Yeah, I think we get to become fond of Holly through the books, and I don't think you necessarily wouldn't be fond of her from reading it, but I think you develop a relationship with her as you read the other books. So I think
Right.
that's true. But someone did ask this online. Someone said, "Can I read this? Do I have to read anything else?" And I said, "Read The Outsider first, because she's got a very small part in some of the early ones." And I
Yeah.
thought if you read The Outsider, she does quite a lot in that one.
Actually, I think
that
that was
was my take.
MJ.
Yeah, I think it was MJ. Yeah.
And I told
And I thought-
MJ, just start with Mr. Mercedes. Just work your way
Well,
through.
they're good books anyway. It's not a bad thing. They're good books.
They are good books. The only one you can really skip probably is If It Bleeds, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that the weekend? I mean, now that we're kind of winding up on the whole series, let's just sort of end up. How would you rank the books? I would say Mr. Mercedes, Holly, top tier, Finders Keepers, Outsider, and then sort of trailing would be End of Watch and If It Bleeds. Gareth?
Well, I had, when I said right at the beginning that this had me utterly gripped and I couldn't put it down and I couldn't wait to pick it up again. That's how I felt with The Outsider as well. So I really enjoyed that. But I don't dislike any of the others, but I would say the weakest is probably If It Bleeds. It took a little while for me to get into it, but I still liked it. But for me, that's the weakest. But it's very hard for me to judge the trilogy because I think they're really good, and I think they're similar experiences for me. But The Outsider, I really got I don't know what's the word, like heart pumping up or whatever for The Outsider. I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
And you, Cliff?
Yeah, definitely a 5-star, and the only one of all of them for me. So this is my number one. And yeah, sorry, Gareth, we're going to go back to The Outsider. It's probably my least favorite. I don't know why. It's just something about it didn't work for me. But then I think after this, I really enjoyed If It Bleeds. I enjoyed Mr. Mercedes. And I liked the last one more, I think. What was the last one?
End of Watch.
End of Watch. I loved End of Watch. I really enjoyed that. But I think, yeah, my weakness is probably the outsider, unfortunately. Sometimes it doesn't work. Just didn't work for me. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
But it
all
was
different.
four stars.
We'll all have. I think we'll all have different,
Yeah.
ranking.
So far we do.
And the fact
Yeah,
that it's
well,
still,
that's what I really like is that we're not even finished, and already we're all over the map on the rankings. So that's good. I like differences. So Nim,
All right, let me get my brain together. Mr. Mercedes and Holly were top for me. I really liked Finders Keepers and If It Bleeds. And then bottom was like End of Watch and The Outsider. But the thing about The Outsider is I felt like if it was two different books, it would have worked out well. But like the way that it like I was into it when it was just crime, like the first half, and then all of a sudden it was horror. It just didn't mesh well for me. So yeah, that's my ranking for them.
Cool.
Alan.
I kind of agree with Nim and Cliff in that regard, although I like The Outsider more than they did probably. But Gareth and I finished Holly the first in the group. I think we finished back in April before.
Yeah.
I couldn't put it down either. And Leslie has a comment; she couldn't put it down. Finished in one
Yeah,
day.
she has. I was going to say is like I read Holly in one day, couldn't put it down.
Right. So
That's
definitely a great
impressive.
book. And then the question Dad had about is it a standalone? It could be. Possibly, of course, you're going to have a richer experience reading the first four, but it could be a standalone. But they're all great. They're all Stephen King, so why not just reread them like Gareth said, I think. But as I mentioned earlier, I liked Finders Keepers with the manuscripts and the kind of discovery. Then there's a prison scenes, although I mean that I thought it was taken a bit too far. I'm not even going to get into it here, but anyway. And then with End of Watch being last, which was totally procedural in my book.
Okay, Bad. What about you?
I liked Mr. Mercedes for sure. The Outsider. I got sick with COVID. Can't remember the other ones. And then COVID. And then I liked Holly. But if I had to pick my favorite, it would be between Mr. Mercedes and Holly. So it's a really hard decision on that.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Can I just say that people, I hear some Stephen King fans say they love Stephen King, but they only like the early stuff. I think it's how cool it is. There's 6 books that we liked that are new King books. That they're the other side of his career. They're not early King books, and he can still do it.
He can.
You know what I
I don't know if they're as good as his early books, but they're good books. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, I think this is definitely one of his best. I think
You
it's
think so?
definitely one of his best. Yeah,
this is in my top 20 now. This is in my top 20. Holly,
okay.
definitely. I really enjoyed it.
It's in my top 10.
Your top 10.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank everyone who's been part of this group. And it's really been, like I said, it's been really amazing. 6 months.
That went by quick.
Yeah,
It did go by. And
Yeah.
Bad, it was all your idea. You started this one.
Yeah, thank you, Bad.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
thanks
did
for
it all. You gathered everyone up. You did the scheduling. You did the live stream. You did so much, and if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have been able to do this.
If you didn't, I remember because you talked to the bookseller about Holly. He says, "Oh, there's other books," and then you mentioned to me, and then I said, "Well, let's read them all."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I do apologize. I wasn't able to participate in some, but I got COVID and then my father's news, so I really do apologize. But I'm just really happy that I was able to. Wasn't there a part of the book that says it's not how you finish? No, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I was so happy when you popped up. I was like, what?
it was Greg's idea. He's the
I
one
would-
who invited me, and I
Greg,
read
that
it.
was your idea?
It was my idea.
It was
Aw.
his idea, and I felt so honored, and I felt so happy. I'm like, yeah, I felt like I read it, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't sure to pop into the live stream. I wasn't sure to ask, but when Greg asked me to join, my heart just went, poof, and I just got so happy, and I was like, you know what, that's a great idea to end it with you guys, and I enjoyed watching you through the whole process, you guys. You guys did an amazing job with the live streams. I had a great time, and I know everyone had a great time. And Greg, you honestly did, you held the fort, and you did great.
You did awesome, Greg.
Thank you.
Greg.
Okay. Good job, Greg.
Have we got any comments from viewers, Greg?
Yeah,
Two
man.
more comments. Leslie said it doesn't feel like 6 months. Thanks for doing the series of lives. And I said 70s horror coming up in July. And Bad, I will add you to the Voxer group so you can get the list. And I think that'll be fun. I mean, it's not all reading one author, but it's reading a decade.
What are a few books that you guys are reading? I think I said I read the first one.
Okay, hold on. Let me actually, I have it here. Where is my 70s horror?
So I don't want to inconvenience.
No, it's here.
you too
Okay.
much.
In July, Burnt Offerings by Robert Mascaro. August, Gwen in Green by Hugh Zachary.
September the Manitou by
The
Graham
Manitou by
Masterson.
Masterton. I've read that recently, but it's okay. Salem's Lot by Stephen King.
Oh, that was the one I was like, no.
That's October.
Then All Heads Turn When the Hunt Goes by John Ferris.
Then December is Mine, Our Lady of Darkness by Fritz Leiber, 1977.
Oh my goodness. Which Richard Matheson one was it?
Not
Manitou.
Richard Matheson. Graham
Graham
Masterton. The Manitou.
Yeah, that one was fun.
Oh, you guys are all gonna read that one?
Yeah.
Was that your idea, Bad?
What? No,
No,
I
it's-
got Manitou from Greg.
Yeah.
Oh,
Influencer. He is.
I don't know. No, Ollie. Ollie picked Manitou.
the Manitou.
And then January is the House Next Door by Anne Rivers Siddons. So.
Yes.
I tried to get the Manitou a little while ago because I knew Horror Mayhem was coming up, and it's well expensive. The Manitou, it's like second hand. It's crazy money.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought I saw a decently priced one on Thrift Books, but maybe I'm looking at the wrong one.
No, it can be. I looked at it. I have mine on Kindle, so it's cheap, but it's out of print and paperback, so it just can be really expensive.
Yeah, I mean, if I found an American one, it'd be like 15, 20 quid postage as well on top of the.
Yeah. Well, you know, if I see one in the wild, I'm gonna grab it, and someone in the group, I'll say, "Here's a copy." If you can't get a copy,
If I could spell Manitou right, I'll look it up right now.
I think I must have been looking at the wrong book then, because I'm pretty sure it had a decent price on Thrift Books. Like
maybe
$15.
Oh man. Oh, $32.29. Oh no, here's one for that's Manitou Blood. But the Manitou, it's expensive, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, Leslie says
Yeah,
I have all those books, so yay.
All the Manitou books.
Oh, nice.
I think she said all the books we're doing for our 70s horror is what she meant.
Oh,
Oh.
I've got to read. I don't know if I'll get. I might not get to it this month, but I've got a John. Was it John Farris? Was it John Farris?
Y'all, we're doing all heads turn when the hunt goes by.
Yeah. I've got Adventureland by John Farris.
Ah.
That one I don't know. He used to be more popular than he. I think he sort of faded as
Yeah.
the decades have gone by.
But that's a fun fair one. Yeah, horrors set in fun fair is always good, eh?
Mm-hmm. All right.
Nice setting.
Well, I think we can call that a show. And it's been a blast having you all here and discussing the series. And
Thanks,
until the
Greg.
next series, everyone,
Thanks, everyone.
Leslie, maybe you can join us if you want to. You know,
Oh, that'd be awesome. I've said to Leslie about joining me for Desert Island Flicks, but Leslie was like, "What, a live stream? What are you on about?"
I know.
So,
some people still want to do
it's
them.
always an option. You don't have to take up the offer. All right.
Yeah, we're
So
cool.
let's call it a day. And thank you, everyone. It's been a blast.
Thanks.
Later.